do a short video on the Napoleon movie that my son and I went and watched last week. And also, I'm testing out my new mic and headset that I got from Black Friday sales, which is pretty cool. I'm pretty excited about it. It's a Yeti Blue. Well, my son picked it out for me. And I think it works well. It worked well on our game day on Saturday. So there will probably be some minor spoilers in this movie. But let's go ahead and dive into it a little bit more. I'm going to make it quick. I'm just going to ramble, tell you the truth. But I'm not going to say I liked the movie. I left a little disappointed, but I wasn't that disappointed because we saw it at the AMC IMAX. And it wasn't the big dome theater. It was just a big screen. And that helped a lot, I think. The good sound, very good visuals. The movie, the cinematography, the scenes and the costumes were really awesome to watch. The little details that they did. So it was worth it, even though the movie, for the most part, fell apart. It was very disjointed to me. But it should have been titled Napoleon Josephine. And if they just focused on that, I think they would have had something. And just referenced him going off, which he was gone a lot, actually. So the movie would should have maybe just been Josephine. I really like the actress who played Josephine, Vanessa Kirby. I don't know much about her work and other things. I've probably seen her in other movies. But her eyes, her expression, really good job. Just to watch her perform is, worth going in some aspects. It's rated R, so don't take the kids. Don't take teenagers even. Just adults. Let's just keep it at adults. But that was the nature of the era too. So yeah, there's a lot of deviation from history. Even the history that I was aware of. I'm going, I kind of cringed in some spots. But, I had the mentality we're going to go see like 300, which you don't go see the history of Sparta for that show. Or Gladiator, they take a lot of liberties, but it's meant to entertain. So one of the things, the romance was done pretty good. I mean, Josephine was in a tough spot. I mean, she came from minor nobility. The ages were off. Napoleon should have been much younger when he was captain and even got promoted. And Josephine should have been a bit older. That's one reason why she couldn't have children. Well, probably because of her time in prison too didn't help any. It's just not a healthy environment. But that plays a key role in real life history and in the movie as well. I didn't care for Joaquin Phoenix's Napoleon, to tell you the truth. It just didn't seem off. And the other thing that irritated me was everybody spoke with a British accent. Well, that's understandable if you have all British actors and such playing it. But it's interesting to see their story develop. Other things, what I really like, again, I already mentioned it, was the cinematography. I like the actress, the costumes. It just had a big feel to it. Now, again, I've seen it on the IMAX screen, which probably helped a lot. So there's a lot of positives to this movie. But it wasn't the plot that was a positive. The plot, well, let's get on to the things I didn't like. It was horribly disjointed. You didn't understand why he was doing certain things. They just jumped from one thing to another. Even the political scheming was jumped around a bit. So much condensing. There was gaps. He said he took Italy without, any resistance. The Peninsula campaigns, which were pivotal, were missing. And just so many things. But also the battle. There was even Austerlitz. If you don't know anything about the battle, you should know that this ain't right. People hiding under tarps or the big ice thing. I don't know where he got that, to tell you the truth. Well, I guess I do. There was some people cracking through ice through the marshes, but I don't know the full detail. I've never actually visited these battle sites. Let's see. No, just Waterloo's the only one that I've visited, I think. Yeah. Maybe a couple in Italy, but I wasn't aware. All right. But the other things is that just the portrayal of Napoleon was off. it was a very negative, very cynical look at him. And this was a great man who was greatly admired by many outside of France. Even Beethoven admired him for the longest time, because Beethoven was a bit of a Republican. Now, Republican back then meant, you're not for a monarchy or authoritarian government. And he was going to dedicate his Third Symphony to him. But once Napoleon, declared himself emperor, and I think in 1804, Beethoven struck that out and got really irritated. In fact, so much that when Napoleon conquered Austria and was in Vienna, he wanted to meet Beethoven because, it's Beethoven, and Beethoven wouldn't have anything to do with it. So that's interesting that Napoleon wanted to meet Beethoven, but didn't happen. Pretty sure it didn't happen. But he still has his fans today, and he did a lot of good in Europe. He instituted reforms. He pushed science. Big fan of science. Just if you look at James Burke's series Connections from 1979, he talks about Napoleon and some of the advances that happened. He started basically Egyptology when he went to Egypt. He was a big fan. He wouldn't destroy it. I can't see him destroying a mummy or desecrating a mummy. He wouldn't shoot the pyramids, that's for sure. He brought in scientists with him, or historians and archaeologists. That's how we got the Rosetta Stone, was from his campaign. And he would also bring reforms to where he went, if they didn't exist already. Clean the streets, helped curb diseases, hospitals, so many things. The Napoleonic Code. The Napoleonic Code still echoes in Europe today. And when I had one class started in 1848, which was the year of revolutions, little revolutions in Europe. And some of that was derived because people, had a taste of the Napoleonic Code. So he had a big influence, still big fans today, and this movie did not portray him at all in a favorable light for the most part. Good and bad. I mean, did he do things that were bad? Yeah, but so did everybody else. It was the nature of the world. Now, Waterloo I'm a little more familiar with because I've actually visited this battle site, and I cringed. I cringed a lot. And you see this scene right down here. He's leading a charge. He's in his 50s by then. I'm pretty sure he's around 55 or something like that. And no. And they're not looking at each other through spy glasses. Wellington was well far away from Napoleon. And some of the charges and the tactics that they showed were not accurate. I mean, just some idiotic stuff. And it was a very widespread battle, 5-6 miles stretched. And that just wasn't portrayed well at all. I wish they'd have shown more of like his Borodino and the Peninsula campaign, the slugfest. There's so much more to see. Now, Waterloo, I recommend if you ever get over there to go visit the site. They have a beautiful panorama. There's my wife looking at it right there. You just walk around and this hill gives you it's a really big hill. You go up there, gives a good view of over the battlefield, and it's really cool. Of course, Wellington would have a line up there, or the British. And this battle, they go through it pretty good. So I recommend trying to visit that site. It's not far. This was during our Netherlands trip, but we zipped over to Belgium for it. So if you're going to see it on the big screen, because the filming was really good. Just even the buildings and the interior of the buildings, the costumes, it was pretty awesome actually. It's just that it's not that good of a movie when you look at it for plot and historical accuracy and everything else. Recommend checking out the 1970 movie Waterloo, and with Christopher Plummer as Wellington, and I think Rod Steiger as... God, I'm going to have to go look at the movie again. It's been a while since I've seen it. I read War and Peace too. I think with Rod Steiger was Napoleon. Yeah. And there's really good talk about the events in Moscow, how that worked out for Napoleon. And another little tidbit, most of his troops died from disease on the retreat because his wagon trains and his supplies got disjointed a little bit. And typhus, I believe, killed most of the troops. It really, let the air out. Anyway, that is all I have for this. Again, this was just testing out my new mic, so I had to have an excuse to do a video. Okie doke. Thank you.